is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. So we can fly again. Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in.
Good evening. Decorus back again with yet another race. This time we're against CSR. We are waiting for one more of them to join, I believe. Maitland's in as a spectator, so hopefully you can get whoever that last person is into the game. Because we should be starting in a minute. I'm sure everything will run perfectly smoothly as we go into this. At least better than our last matchup against GRT with what happened at Brazil. We do not want to repeat that. There's West joining now. So yeah, hopefully this should be us about ready to go. I'm sure they'll all start readying up if that's the case. So our two teams for today, as you can see on screen there, we've got Torley, Sam, Thomas, Tom, Harris and Creamy racing for us. And then for the other team you've got Pez, Noah J, Hearn, Sam, Charlie and West. So we'll have to see how competitive this is going to be. I think this is going to be one of our tougher matchups in GXE. CSR seem to be quite a strong team and seem to be fielding a fairly strong lineup. So hopefully we can pick up some good points today, try and pull a bit more of a lead, I should say, in our group in GXE, because currently in the standings we are top of our group. We are 30 points clear of CSR, so we've kind of got a little bit of a buffer there, where we could lose a couple points, but we'd still be leading. So yeah, hopefully we don't need it. Hopefully we can win anyway, but we'll have to wait and see how that happens tonight. I mean, well, that's what you do, isn't it, Jansen? If you're in a competition, you field your strongest players. That's just the natural way of life. 15th in the world round rusher, yeah. Where's Brett? Unfortunately, Brett isn't racing today, but he is on as our race engineer, so he will be helping the team through today's session, just like he did last time against GRT, and then told drivers that we were restarting when we weren't, because yeah, that's Brett. Not technically, yeah, but that's not the same, Jansen. That is not the same. We don't remember, God's sakes. BFE is the FA Cup, is the curb, God's sakes. Brett could do comms if he wanted to. I wouldn't complain, but I think he wants to do a bit of race engineering. But yeah, good luck to you all. Hopefully, Oh, sorry, I've just got a message from one of the admins there. Yeah, hopefully we'll be getting underway very shortly. I hope so. It really would be good for us to get going. But I'm just having to wait and see. Because Vettel wants in the admin of the league. He wants to be spectating. Brett needs to race engineer, otherwise they end up with Marcus. Yeah, no one wants that. No one wants nor needs that. Just need to get Vettel in, and then we can be underway. Right, let me shoot him an invite quickly, and then hopefully that is all we need to do, and we can be underway. We're just, yeah. Me and Harry at 5-a-side without Ippy shirts. That is what you love to hear. You've got a new phone coming tomorrow. Can you tell me if it's a scam? 37 quid a month for an iPhone 11, 40 gig data, unlimited minutes and text. That doesn't sound too bad, to be fair. That doesn't sound that bad. Oh, I'm guessing Thomas just gets disconnected. What tracks? It's Bahrain first, which we should be about to be underway with, and then Russia in about an hour's time. Obviously, once this race is done. So there's Vettel in now, spectating, I think. Yeah, so Thomas is back in. We should be good to go. Let me just see if both teams good to go. What are your thoughts on the fact safety cars on for 25% race? I think it should be off. I don't mind, to be honest. It's not a huge issue. I can understand why people get annoyed by it because it can hold up a race quite a bit, like 25%, but at the same time it's like, it is what it is. You know, full damage should be on, I think. For competitive racing, full damage should be on. From the front. What? You okay, Colonel? I don't know if he is. Let me just see if I missed any messages, because I think I definitely did. Two of your best tracks. Oof. It's an interesting set of tracks, I think. Quite different, but I mean, Bahrain's always good. I do love Bahrain quite a lot, and Russia's going to be an interesting one because you don't see Russia much in like competitive racing. I don't think. When you set that catapult up on the hill, I'm genuinely so confused what you're on about. Full damage for 25%. Those just. I personally, I think if you're in any kind of competitive racing, it should be at least full damage. Sim damage is just ridiculous, but reduced damage, I don't think. No, I don't think it should be in competitive racing. Let me have a look. Oh, for God's sakes! Can't be. Well, how have you figured that one out, then, Colonel? How have you figured that one out? It is. I'd imagine, Harry. We're gonna have to see how competitive the two teams are. I'm looking forward to it. I don't. Well, yeah, you might have to be fair. Jansen, that is a good spot. Alright, we're heading in. Good to go. It's all as it is. Oh. Right, let's get up all these details that we need, and I'll switch you over to the in-game view now, so you can see what's going on a bit more clearly in that little box. Oh, got rid of that by accident. So let's see how quality's going to stack up. It can be quite interesting around here to see what times people set, because some people really seem to struggle around Bahrain and others seem to really excel at it, so We'll have to wait and see what these teams are going to be like. And I'd imagine they'll be loading in shortly, I hope. Because I know how glitchy this game can be, and we see lobbies take a little while to start because all the drivers can take some time to load in, and it can be quite frustrating at times. But yeah. Well, there we are. We can see cars coming out on track now. Looks like we've got one of the CSR cars out first. Who is it going to be? Noah is one of them. Thomas is up there at the front as well. We also have Sam. Sam's going to be the first one out on track then. And the first one round, we have a couple of Decorus cars behind him. All black livery for CSR. And it looks like everyone has got about the right one. Although Decorus is identical. Harris now out. There's only a couple drivers left in. West is still in the garage. And we have Creamy still in the garage. Sorting out what they want to do for this session. We'll head back up with Sam at the front of the field for now. And there they are. There's the last two cars on the way out. So we're going to have every car out on track very shortly. And those at the back should be a bit too far ahead to have any kind of impact on the likes of Sam coming through here. Well, the first time around the circuit. Got to be careful around this right-hander. This is one where we see a lot of cars spin because they mess up on the curb. Small mistake there, and it can cause huge issues for the driver. Spinning off to either side, really, actually, either into the rung off on the left or into the wall on the right. Can cause some issues. Drivers give themselves a bit of room. We'll probably get a bit of a backlog on this last straight that Sam has just completed. But he's running down the main straight now, and we'll get to see what kind of time it's going to be that he sets. Coming down to T1 now, heavy braking zone into a very tight right hand turn, then quickly back onto your left. Through turn 2 and 3 there, then onto this DRS straight, the first one of the lap. Into turn 4 where we'll probably see a few overtake attempts during the race. Got to be careful on the exit not to run too wide and invalidate your lap there. Then through turns 5 and 6, I believe that is. Into turn 8 now. And this, I think that might be 7 actually. Then you come to this double left-hander anyway, which is another one that drivers seem to struggle with, locking up there as we saw Sam do. That will have lost him a little bit of time and a little bit of tyre wear. Now continuing his run through the second DRS zone of the track. Up towards sector 3 now through this fast right-hand turn. And should be flat out for nearly every driver. Bit of a sharper right, it's kind of a medium speed corner, I would say. Got to be careful on the exit of that one as well, not to invalidate your lap there at 2. Run down to this penultimate turn, which really is one turn for F1 cars. And now into the third and final DRS zone. What time will it be for Sam? It's going to be a 25.2 is our baseline lap. We'll go and see. Creamy's going to be right at the back, and he's off track. We'll head to Harris, who's kind of in the middle at the minute. Thomas at 25.2. Noah with a 25.3. So these times are looking pretty close right now. There's going to be another CSR driver through. Charlie with a 25.2 as well. What will Harris say at 24.6? 6/10 clear right now is Harris. An incredible lap from Decorus Harris there. Then we have Pez on his way through now. He's going to be the 9th driver to set a time. Goes second with a 24.8. Let's go to West, as he's about across the line there. He goes to 25.5. And then Creamy struggled on his lap, and I'd imagine Tolly must have invalidated to have not set a time. Or messed up in some way. So Harris currently sat in provisional pole by 2/10 to Pez. And then 5/10 or so to Charlie. So we've got Harris provisional pole, Pez P2, Charlie P3, Thomas P4, and then Sam, Noah J, Hearn and West all for CSR. Then Tom, other Sam, and Creamy behind that. GXE Universe on the mediums, and Creamy seemed to have spun on that previous lap. We'll see what Tolly's able to do this time round. After, I believe, he invalidated the previous lap. Here comes Tolly now, coming at this final right-hand turn. Let's see where he's going to put himself. It's not looking terrible. It's a 24.9, puts him P3. Third driver into those 24s. It'll probably see a few more break into those 124s come the end of the session. So Tolly's going to have to head back round and get himself into the pits before coming back out for another lap. We'll stick with him for now though. And just because it's going to be a car out on track, there's going to be a lot of cars sat in the pits doing nothing, so we might as well watch him as he drives back to the pits. Thank you to Joker and Rose for the follows as well. So interesting times there right now. You've got Tom there, who's actually a DFA driver. He's a Decorus future athlete, is what we like to call him. Is that who is that? Oh, that would be Sam. No, yeah, something's happened to him there. He rang off quite a bit in turn 1. No wing damage. Might just be nursing these tyres a hell of a lot on this lap. I'm not sure what's happened there. He's invalidated somewhere. But we do have a few cars on the way around the track now. Mostly CSR. Tolly still on his way back to the pits. We'll go and see who was. Well, Sam's going to be the first one round, I think, unless one of the others has managed to overtake him in the process. They have. Noah J probably going to be the first one then to set a lap. Well, a second lap, I should say. In this session, most of the field now coming back out on track. Tolly just getting back into the pits. And Creamy seems to be doing a couple of practice laps first. Although he did mess up that first lap actually, so maybe he just did the second one and then is now going to head into the pits. Yeah, that's exactly what he's done. So he improved to a 26.0 after his spin. Leaving him in P11 at the moment. But here goes Noah J. He's going to be starting his second lap of the session. And we'll be able to see if he's going to be able to improve much. We can hear a few more cars getting fired up in the pits before coming back out on track. Heads now down that run to turn 4. Fast right hand turn. Got a few cars not too far behind him actually, which especially Thomas I think should be worried about having a CSR car that close behind him, although he seems to have pulled to the side. So maybe he's messed up this lap, or is not happy with what he's done so far and wants to have another go. Noah J now coming through that double left-hander. Got to get that foot down early on the exit, but not lose traction, which can actually be quite a tricky task to do around there. Need to be really, really careful with the throttle. Keeping it nice and wide through turn 12. Finding half a second on his previous lap. This should be into the 124s for Noah J. Let's see if it is going to be. It looks like it is. A 24.8 puts him second fastest, just ahead of his teammate Pez. Sam improves to a 24.797. Charlie improves to a 24.782, putting CSR guys as pretty fast laps in today. Who should we watch? We'll go and see what Sam can do now he's invalidated. He switched off the mediums onto the soft, so he'll probably go for another lap after this one. Let's see if Tom's going to be able to improve much. On his previous lap, Thomas has moved up to P3 for 24.796. Only 1 millisecond clear of Sam. Harris has improved his time to a 24.498. Holding about 3 and a bit tenths between him and Charlie. Almost 4 tenths. No, almost 3 tenths I should say. I can't math apparently. Let's see what Tom's going to be able to do. He's got that DRS open again. Torley is sat in P7 right now. He's on a hot lap. And we'll be able to see what he's able to do. I'd imagine Sam's going to be going for another one. GXE Universe, that is. Tom's on his way around, and so is Creamy now after Creamy struggled earlier on his first attempt at a lap. And there's Sam with CSR heading back into the pits. Tom is going to set a time of a 25.6. He goes quicker, but it only leaves him where he is. Not much movement is Torley on his way around now. Torley is improving by, that was close to 4 tenths there, which could actually see him move up to P2 with where he is currently, if he can carry it on through sector 3. He needs to push towards the line now. It's looking decent. So 24.6. It does move him up to P2. Good lap from Torley there. Really good lap. Universe has improved to a 24.948. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for another one, but we are seeing a lot of the field now moving to the 24s, which is some good movement for the team. Well, for both teams, really. Both teams, in fact, have 2 drivers out of it and 4 drivers in the 24s. Now, I think this race could be a pretty close one, but we'll have to wait and see what these final positions are come the end of qualifying. And Universe has invalidated there. Everyone else on laps right now? I think Pez is on an in lap. Yeah, he definitely is on an in lap. It's going to be a little bit slow for a few minutes in qualifying now, as we wait for everyone to get back in the pits, get the tyres, new tyres put on, and maybe make a couple tweaks to front wing if they feel it needs it, and get back out on track before they go for another lap. As we can see, Sam, Noah, Jay and Harris now on the way round on out laps. We'll sit with Harris for a bit. Oh, is on a lap. Good spot. He's invalidated it though. So we'll head back to Harris. As I was saying at the start of the stream, but I don't think many of you were here at the time, this is an important race really in the group stage, because in Group 2 currently, Decorus lead with 150 points, then you have CSR in second on 120. So these two teams really battling it out for the top of Group 2, with BHR third right now on 81 points and GRT on 52 points. Which that math doesn't add up actually. I've just noticed in Decorus's first race against GRT there's 202 points handed out. In CSR's first race against BHR there's 201 points handed out. So something's gone wrong there, I feel. And is that Noah J is in the gravel. That's out of turn 3. That's interesting, because that's the second time we've seen a CSR car off in that part of the track. Oh, possibly. No, because fastest lap's 2 points in this job, as far as I know at least. So that wouldn't really makes sense, I don't think. We'll stick with Harris now as he comes through Sector 2. Just mounting those curbs on his way through. We'll see quite a few drivers do. There's a lot of rhyming words there. Harris on this DRS straight, then we have a lot of drivers now on outlaps or starting to come back out onto track. Let's see what Harris is going to be able to do. See if he's going to be able to improve. He's coming with that Sector 2 timing line. Will he be improving? He's half a tenth slower right now. So unless he can find some extra time through Sector 3, I don't think we'll see an improvement on this lap from Harris. He is still almost 3 tenths clear to Tawley though, so I don't think he's got much to worry about. No, he's 2.5 tenths clear. Let's go to Universe now, who's found an extra 10 so far. And we'll have to see if he's going to be able to improve. Thomas on an outlap. You also have Tawley and Pez on outlaps. Sam holding P4 right now with a 24.7. Cream Young a hot lap as well right now. Universe up 3 tenths coming through Sector 2. This could see him be put around P3. Sam retires from the session. I'm assuming that's in the pits, looking at where the yellow flag is. Let's see what Universe is going to be able to set. See if he's carried that time through Sector 3. It's looking pretty good. It's 24.6. He does go P3. Good lap from Universe there. Decorus 1, 2, 3 at the moment. We have a lot of cars out on track. Creamy going with a 25.8 at the moment. Finding a little bit extra time, but still a little bit off the pace overall. CSR finding, CSR Pez I should say there, finding an extra 10.5 apparently, but we'll get to see actually what it's going to be as he crosses the Sector 1 timing line. 0.03 of a second. Can you find some more time throughout Sector 2? We'll have to wait and see. He passes Universe, who just set his P3 lap. Just a little bit off the pace of Tawley, which is what we see regularly, to be honest, from those two. Is one of them sets a lap, the other one sets one very similar. They're very equal drivers, the two of them. On a par with each other, definitely. Pez keeping on going with... He's ever so slightly slower actually coming through Sector 2. So, especially unless he gets a toe off his teammate there, which he may have a little bit, I don't think he's going to find much time in this final sector. And that comes to the end of the session as we're seeing some checkered flags getting waved. Pez, he did find some extra time with that toe, moves up to P2 with a 6.64. So Harris still on provisional pole. Pez P2, 6.64. Tawley P3. Currently Universe back in the pits, so he will not be able to improve. Charlie moves ahead of his teammate. Let's go to Thomas, who's coming down this final straight now. He's found some extra time. Let's see where he's going to be able to put himself as he crosses the line. He moves up to P2 with a 24.646. And we'll have to see what Tom and Cream's going to be able to do. I don't think Cream's going to be able to do much on the age of his tyres. So it's looking like Harris P1, Thomas P2, Pez P3, Tawley P4, Universe P5, Charlie P6, Sam P7, Noah J P8, CSR West P9, Hearn P10, Tom P11, and Creamy, the last one out on track right now, on his way around. And I believe he may be running low on fuel. So he'll be starting in P12 as we go into the race. Now that is an extremely competitive qualifying. We have 2nd to 5th all within half a tenth of each other, and then first to 9th within 6 tenths, really. It is extremely close between these two teams. I feel it's going to be an incredibly competitive race. I'm almost certain that Creamy has run out of fuel at this point. There seems to be a bit of debris on the track there. That can be a little bit concerning. Lovely that there from Creamy after invalidates. He sets a 2:06, I believe that was going to be, after he heads into the pits, lacking the fuel he needed. And that is the end of the session. So let's head into the race. We'll once we load in, we'll be waiting a little bit of time to let drivers choose their strategies and plans for the race. And I'm sure for the race engineers to give the teams a little bit of a team talk before we get underway with the driving. Let's see how this race is going to go, and then we have Russia shortly after. Hello Dutton, how are you doing? So there's the times, as you can see. It's only a second between 1st and 11th. And Creamy's just a little bit off the pace, but you know, a fairly late notice for Creamy to be racing today, so that's not really a shock to me. I have not done no. Harris holding on to pole, I believe. Let me just double check the previous race. Harris is 3rd pole in a row. 3 races, 3 pole positions for Harris. That is what. That's just amazing from him. That is just amazing from him. Let's see if he can carry on through to the race. We'll be getting underway with that shortly. He sent it to me, James. I'll have a look. Oh. Why have you done that? Right, the drivers now will be setting up strategies for the race. Oh, well, fair play to you then. Fair play. Yeah, the drivers will be setting up their strategies for the race. And we'll be underway shortly. They will have a formation lap. And then we'll get to racing. So just a quick rundown again of the grid. We might as well go for it. Harris on pole, is 3rd pole in a row. Then we have Thomas in P2, Pez in P3, Torley P4, Sam in P5, Charlie P6, other Sam, CSR Sam in P7, Noah J in P8, West in P9, Hung in P10, Tom in P11 and Creamy in P12. Let's see what strategies those outside of the top 10 went for. So Tom's went mediums and Creamy's went softs. So Tom going from alternate strategy, the only one that has, well, only one of 2 that has the ability to go from alternate strategy, and has chosen to go for it. And there they are on the way around the circuit. We'll do this for now. We'll just watch the cars go around as they start warming up the tyres there, as you can see. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen going into T1, because it is a very, very tight turn here, and with drivers battling, it can be a very tricky turn as well. Let's watch Thomas for a little bit here, as he follows closely behind Harris, getting all these tyres warmed up. And we should see them all in a line very shortly, warming up these tyres, weaving along this straight, as you can see there. Quite in sync, actually, warming up those tyres. Now through they go towards sector 3 of this formation lap. Now these cars look absolutely fantastic under the floodlights of Bahrain, I must admit. Right then. Well, they'll be reforming on the grid very shortly. I'm just going to go to the back and we'll watch the back reform, because that actually tells us how much time going to go into B before we get underway, and it's lights out. 14 laps around the circuit. We should be expecting times around the high 120s, low 130s to start off with. And here we are, reforming back up now. Creamy should be about to take to his final grid spot, just behind Hearn there. There he goes, just lining his way up. And those lights are going to go up before these drivers actually go, because of this game's timing is bad. You should start to see them revving up in a second there. And it's lights out and away we go. And the run down to turn 1, you can see a few cars looking for moves. Who was going to come out of T1 on top? A little bit of contact there between Pez and Torley. Torley managing to get himself ahead, and also ahead of Harris. Harris has fell 2 positions off the start. Thomas leading at the moment. Probably going to be a bit messy coming through turn 4 there. It's CSR and Decorus battle it out all the way through. These turns can be really tricky to go too wide. Now that looked like one of the Decorus cars got forced off track. That may be an incident that will make clipping Tom a little bit slow off the start, which is expected, I think, on those medium tyres. So Pez holding P4, Harris in P3 currently. He needs to try and find some extra pace if he wants to take the lead of this race again. Charlie holding P5, and we also have Universe not too far behind him. He will be closing in, looking to get a move done when the opportunity arises. As soon as one of them makes a mistake, he'll pounce on it, which is exactly what he needs to do. The cars, to be fair, the field is very, very close right now. It hasn't really spread out much at all. There seems to be a bit of a gap forming between Noah J and Sam in 7th and 8th. But other than that, everyone seems to be sitting around half a second apart. Got a couple of cars a little bit close, like West is quite close to Sam. You've also got University close to Charlie. So with a bit of extra power from University, it may be thinking about a move going into turn 4. But he's also got to be careful with that ERS management, which I'm sure they will be communicating about. Charlie seems to be a little bit laggy there. But Sam sticking right to the back of Charlie, not letting him out of his sights, not letting that gap grow. Now this is where we should start to see these cars spread out a little bit more before DRS kicks in on the next lap. Hopefully we shouldn't be seeing a safety car, it'll just be straight battling throughout this race, but who knows? You could just get an unfortunate person spin off of one of the curbs, especially the one that we're coming up to very shortly here. This very fast right hand turn that Universe will be going through next. This curb on the inside, which a lot of these drivers are taking a very wide line of, but you need to hit the apex of it quite tight to that curb. A lot of drivers can mess up there. Universe was thinking about trying to move there. He's got a good bit, well, gained a good bit of time through the turn, because he hit the apex very nicely. He's sitting around a 10th behind Charlie now. Probably going to be looking for a move into T1, if not going into T4 with DRS. Torley setting fastest lap of the session so far. Universe needs to try and get this move done, but doesn't want to rush it, because he doesn't need to pick up any damage doing it. He needs a good clean overtake to get himself up into P5, and then hopefully he can start chasing down Pez. But he also needs to be wary of the gap. Charlie is now a second behind Pez, so Charlie won't be getting DRS to help him defend anymore, unless he can close that gap back down throughout Sector 2, which I think he's going to struggle to do, looking at it at the moment. Unless he can get just inside as they go through the DRS detection point, which is possible. Universe using up a little bit of ERS there. Charlie was within range for DRS on this straight, so he should be getting it yet again, and he is. Let's watch them all come down this straight. The field really still hasn't separated. That is the only... Him and Sam are the only two drivers I can see really falling out of DRS range shortly. But the rest of the field seems to be sitting pretty close together right now. The only worry is it's going to be one big DRS train. That could be the only issue with this race. You also have Harris now closing in on Torley actually. He'll be getting DRS down this straight. I don't know if Harris will just go for a move or not. I'd imagine not. He's sitting back a little bit more. West is in the pits, which is promoted Hearn, Creamy and Tom by one position each. Let's see what tyres he's going to be going on. He's on softs right now. He's going on to the mediums, which is the tyre I'd expect him to go on. At Harvey and Discord, Brett. Universe struggling to get this move done, but I think as long as Charlie is in DRS, he is going to struggle with it. There's Harris. He's having to push or keep Pez behind him. He really can't give up that position. For as long as he can avoid it, he needs to be holding that P3 and keep Pez behind him. He's had a good exit onto this straight. Just pulled a bit of a gap, so Pez shouldn't be able to fight back on this occasion. Sam is now out of DRS range, and Noah J is slowly falling out of DRS range of Universe as well. Which is good news for Universe, because he doesn't need to worry about the car behind him. He can just focus on attacking Charlie ahead, and then pushing on to Pez ahead of him again. Let's see if West will be able to pull off a bit of an undercut from that pit stop or not. Universe needs to keep pushing here now. He's got that gap right down. Pez heads into the pits. Universe needs to push now. This is where he really needs to try and take advantage of only having the one CSR car between him and the lead. A lot of CSR cars pitting on this lap. You've got Hearn, Noah J, Sam and Pez all going in. Pez opting for the hards. Noah J, Sam and Hearn all going on to the mediums. Universe pushing quite a bit now. Hards is a bit of a questionable call, I will say. I don't think that is necessary at all. Especially with the position he was in. Unless he is getting a lot of wear on those tyres, that is a good point, Dan. So we've got Charlie now just holding in between a load of the Decorus drivers. We'll probably start to see the Decorus drivers pit shortly. I'm not sure whether it'll be this lap or next. But we should start to see them pit soon, sorry. There you are, a lot of them swing over. Looks like Universe is going to keep pushing. There's Creamy going in, and Tom will stay out as well because he's on the mediums. He doesn't need to pit just yet. We'll have to see how well that strategy is going to pay off. The rest of the CSR drivers are coming through that final turn now, so we'll have to see where the Decorus drivers will be when they leave the pits. Will the undercut have worked? So Thomas is on his way out now ahead of CSR. Torley is as well. Harris is behind Pez this time. Pez has got those tyres warmed up where Torley hasn't, so that battle might be quite a heated one. Going into sector 2. Pez on the inside line, but Pez is also on those hards, which could mean he'll struggle a bit more. It's going to be a tight little battle for this lap as Torley warms up those tyres. Harris now needs to try and get this move done as well on Pez. Get himself back in front. Let's see what he does now. I don't believe Harris was. Harris was P3 before going into the pits. So if so Pez has managed to jump him by doing the undercut, but he is on the hards, so swings and roundabouts as to hit what will work. Charlie and Universe both pitting on this lap, so they'll be coming back out in that order, and we'll have to see where they're going to be in terms of the rest of the field after doing an extra lap to everyone on those softs. Harris needs to use this DRS now and get this overtake done. He really needs to push for it. Hez doesn't have DRS on this lap, so this should be Harris's extra speed going into T1. He's going to go around the outside, which means he'll be on the inside of turn 3 there. Turn 2, sorry, going into turn 3, and he does get ahead. Tom leading the race on those mediums that he started the race with. Universe getting an overtake done on Noah J. Now he's back behind Charlie once again. So they're straight back fighting, and Pez, despite going for the undercut, hasn't really paid off. He's letting Charlie through there because he knows his tyres are going to be a bit faster. A little bit of a bump there from Universe as Universe tries to get past Pez through that double left-hander. Those hards on Pez seem to be struggling quite a bit, to be honest. He might have to let through some more of his team because he's going to end up holding them up. I think those hards are going to really struggle through some of the tighter corners. So Universe up to P6 now, chasing Charlie yet again. And Charlie doesn't have DRS. Well, he's not going to be in DRS range, at least. Pez going to have to let Noah J through now. He's going to get back, slot in behind him. As Sam comes around that final turn now. Harris setting the fastest lap of the session so far. Tom will be going probably till around lap 10 before he pits. There's Pez having to let Sam through now. This is not the way I'd imagine Pez would have wanted his race to go. Universe is pushing for this overtake on Charlie. He's going to go for it into turn 4. I've thought about it at least. Decided at the last second it wasn't to be. At least not on this occasion. He'll probably go for it after the double left-hander on that second DRS straight. He's sitting in a good position to strike this time round. He's only 3/10 behind. Definitely getting DRS, but I believe Charlie might. Charlie was just out of DRS range, so this is a good chance for Universe to get past. Gets alongside, going along the straight, and he is now ahead, quite cleanly, in fact, down the straight. And Charlie has a bit of a gearbox issue, at least from the sounds of it. Creamy has pitted onto the hards as well. Creamy, I think, just going to be holding on till the end of the race now. And there's Tom going on at the pit, so he'll be going for 5 laps on those softs. Let's see where he's going to come out the pits. How far down the field it'll be, because it's probably going to be towards the back. He's just being released now, so he will be coming out probably ahead of Creamy, but he is on a quicker tyre, so he may be able to take a bit of a gain from this. He should be able to start putting his foot down a second. He's going to come out just behind Creamy. Universe seems to be holding a bit of a better gap to Charlie than Charlie was able to Universe. This is the first race at KMK. Russia will be on after this. I'm just watching here for Universe, Charlie battling. Tom should be able to go and get himself past Creamy. Well, there he goes. Just as I said that, he managed to get past. Now he's got 6 seconds. He needs to try and close down as quickly as possible on West ahead. There's a few of the CSR drivers falling out of the DRS range of each other, so he may be able to gain a bit quicker than if they were in that DRS train. There's almost a 2.5 second gap now between Sam and Hearn, and then almost, well, just over another second between Hearn and West, so Tom needs to push really I think now, to try and get that move done. And also, Universe has almost pulled a second to Charlie, so maybe on the run down to turn 4, the question is, will Charlie be in DRS range? I think he will, because he has DRS in this lap to hold himself in that range for now. Tom's managed to find half a second in that final sector. The only thing is, Tom won't be getting the DRS to help him along some of these straights. Question is, for Charlie, is will he be able to hold within a second throughout sector 2? Or will Universe be able to pull a bit more of a gap? He's sitting within 7/10, so he'll get DRS down the straight. Tyres are all the same age, so it is going to be all about the speed they can get on these tyres. Universe currently holding and keeping that gap. In fact, extending that gap down the DRS straight, which is a huge benefit, because Universe will have been getting a bit of slipstream from Harris there as well, which Charlie was a little bit too far back to get on that occasion. Now, where was it that Charlie was losing the time before? Because he clearly lost enough time to be that close to being out of DRS range. He managed to just about stay within. Thomas has found a second on that lap. 4 laps to go. It's going to be a tight one to Pez, I think. It's going to be a very, very tight one. Torley and Thomas and Harris seem to be getting within about 2/10 of each other, but they're not passing. Keeping themselves nice and clean, want to hold those there P1, 2, 3 and 4 really. Get some good points from this race. If they can get the 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be what would it be? 70 points, I believe, which is a majority for the race. So I believe it would see us a win round 1 if they can hold it for the next 3 laps. Universe is doing a really, really good job right now of holding Charlie behind him and keeping a bit of a gap to him, so that Charlie really can't take any advantage of slipstream. He's done, as soon as he got ahead, he's done a good job of keeping Charlie behind him. And then obviously you've got Noah J, Sam and Hearn and West, who all went for a bit of an undercut strategy now on older medium tyres, and they're clearly struggling on those older medium tyres. And Pez as well on those hards. The only reason he's staying where he is because he's in DRS range. Tom, however, hasn't really gained on this lap. Tom really needs to on those softs if he wants to take advantage of them. Universe managing to grow more of a gap to Charlie now. Will Charlie be able to hold on even more down this DRS straight? He's losing time. He's losing a lot of time. As Universe gets himself ahead of Harris now. There's a very smooth swap between the two drivers. So Harris now going to be the one fending off Charlie and sitting within Universe's DRS. It is a smart move, actually. Yes, there's a good notice that. So I wasn't even looking at the bottom right of my screen. I'm just paying attention to the times right now. That was a good play by the team. Tom struggling to get that to closing on Pez, I think, get that gap down. At least nowhere near the rate that he needs to if he wants to try and get a move done. Harris going to be putting up a strong fight to the end. 2 laps to go now. And we'll get to see how this will finish. Harris trying to shake Charlie out of that slipstream with an early defensive move. Charlie getting very close. In fact, makes contact with Harris and spins him out of turn 1. That was a reckless dive into turn 1. It looks like it's going to give him the position back. But that has lost Harris the slipstream, the DRS, sorry, that he would have had on Universe. Reckless move. Very reckless move. Harris needs to get himself back in that DRS now, which he has done. Although I don't think he'll get it for this straight, he won't. He's going to have to use that ARS, which he is, to act as DRS essentially for him on this lap. Luckily he's got enough of that. He's going to have to be careful now. Now we've seen Charlie make a dive like that. He's going to have to be careful not to do it again. One lap to go. Let's hope we don't have a repeat of the last T1 we had. Let's just say that. In fact, I think he's not going to be getting DRS. He's not. Charlie isn't going to be getting DRS. So that means he's probably going to not be able to get it for the rest of this lap, and that gap is going to start to grow past a second. Unless he can push really, really hard throughout the sector 2 and manage to get it going into that second DRS straight. Which is possible. He may have damage actually, that's a good point. No damage. Somehow. No damage on him somehow. He does have DRS and he's using ERS. Harris using a lot of ERS as well to try and pull that gap and hold it. It's on full damage actually, Jub. Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm just as shocked as you that it hasn't caused any damage. I don't see Charlie being able to get a move done into the start-finish straight again, just purely because it's almost a 6/10 gap. So we should see Thomas here weaving his way across the line in P1, Tolly P2, Universe P3, Harris P4, Charlie takes P5, Noah P6, Sam P7. We see Hearn cross the line P8, West P9, Pez P10, Tom gonna take P11 there, and Creamy comes to cross the line in P12. I believe that should be more than enough points for Decorus to take the first race of the day. And we'll be heading off to Russia in a few moments. Another qualifying and another race to go through. Let's watch these podium celebrations, which we see Thomas take the win from this race, which is his second win for the team. He won at Brazil last week. So of course, congratulations to him. We'll have to see who got fastest lap here as well. I didn't catch it in the end, who got it. It was Harris that got fastest lap in the end, pushing with that ARS in the end, I'd imagine it was. With a 27.6, which is good going for Harris there. And that is his first fastest lap for the team, so that'll be an extra couple points for us as well. So let's I'll switch over to face cam view for a minute while we head into Russia. That's the thing I'm looking for. Let me just update the score, because I believe it's going to be 1-0 to us there with that performance. And we'll be heading into Russia incredibly soon. Incredibly soon. Russia is going to be an interesting one. With how close that qualifying was at Bahrain, Russia could be even more interesting, to be honest. And we'll have to see how Russia's going to go. I think both teams, as far as I'm aware, are ready to just get going straight away. So hopefully we can just get straight into it. I was just reading through Discord there to see what was going on, and not much, to be fair. If the drivers are ready, I think we're ready to go. Well, at least we should be ready to just get straight into it. Unless anyone needs to join to spectate. I saw Vettel leave halfway through, so I don't think he's going to be there. Brett also left. And I believe from our end we're good to go. If Harvey wants to just tell drivers on our end to ready up when they're good to go, the other team should follow suit. And we'll get into race 2. So I believe that is us extending our lead to CSR so far. Now in race 2, let's see how things go. Will Harris be able to take his 4th pole position for Decorus in as many races? We'll have to wait and see. It was close there in Bahrain. And of course, GG to CSR. It was a good race. Charlie, I respect the sportsmanship. It was a stupid dive into turn 1, but as soon as he had the chance, he lifted off, let Harris back through, and I've got to respect the sportsmanship. We've got to. It was very, very good of him to do that, because you wouldn't see many drivers do that, to be fair. But it just shows the respect these two teams have for each other, because I will say, since we've been racing in GXE, both Decorus and CSR seem to have getting quite a good relationship between the two teams, quite a good working relationship, which is fantastic to see, to be honest. Hello Momo, how are you doing? Right, yeah, we should be good to go on a second. Let me just find out what's happening, because I'm not sure. If they're good to go, I think we should be, unless they're just having a bit of a toilet and drink break, which I would understand, to be honest. I would fully understand that. Father Esports, for God's sakes. Will Decorus expand to other games? We do plan to, yes. We do plan to expand in other games. We're looking, hopefully by the end of this year, to be expanding into Rocket League. Is a game we're definitely interested in expanding to, and Rainbow Six Siege. They're two games that we want to look into by the end of this year as a team. Possibly expanding our F1 team as well. So the signing of Atomic, which we haven't spoke about on stream actually, the signing of Atomic the other day is definitely a huge plus of signing a manager like Atomic, is his ability, his attraction to drivers. Hopefully we can get some big names moved across to our team and be looking to improve even more going into F1 2021. FIFA is a game we have spoke about, but we've got reservations with FIFA esports because the scene it's weird. The FIFA esports scene is a weird one. GeoGuessr, we're already in that tour. Did you not see Harvey yesterday? He's clearly a GeoGuessr pro. Clearly. Further afield than the games we've mentioned there. Honestly, we're probably quite open to most esports. If we can get a team that can be competitive and a manager that understands the game, that is something we would definitely be happy to look into. And on Friday we have our first race in TRC against I'm going to just double check the name so I don't get it wrong, because it's 4 letters and I can't remember it off the top of my head. Where is it? Right, I can't see it for some reason. It'll be in here. I'll look in here. It is against ETSR. That's the team we are racing against on Friday. That is a 50% race, and that one is at Spain. So we'll see how that one's gonna go. The race tonight that happened in TRC seemed to be quite an interesting one. I will say it was BHR versus DRT, and let's just say DRT were absolutely destroyed in that race. BHR managed to get a good lot of points. So that could be. What was it? Oh yeah, BHR got a load of points, and it's going to be interesting in terms of standings for us, because I believe they're in the other group in TRC. So we'll have to wait and see how TRC is going to go for us, because obviously we've not really raced. Our group in TRC is EXR, FGE, ORA, TRT and ETSR. We raced ETSR on Friday, so we'll have to see how that's going to go. Then TRT, again, could be a fairly even matchup. FGE, I think we should win that one. ORA, they didn't compete in the first race, they couldn't get enough drivers. So hopefully that should be an easy win for us. AXR will have to wait and see. Yes, Colonel, I do. What about it? Oh, it's looking very overcast here at Russia. Oh God, Colonel. Right, we'll head back in game now then, since we're into the qualifying session of Russia. I knew you were going to say that. I just knew you were going to say that. And that's why I decided to try and ignore it. Well, good first half of race day under our belts. Bit of a DRS training race. It was quite a simple race, to be fair. Just the one incident, and that was dealt with during the race, really, so we can't really complain about it. And we'll have to see what these drivers are going to be like as they head back out of track now. Who is it Harris the first? No, it's Tawley, the first Decorus driver out on track, following Sam yet again. And then you've got Tom not too far behind. Then you have Thomas as well on track. You've got Universe coming out on track now, Charlie out on track. There's a couple more on the way out as well, so we should be seeing most of these drivers back out on track very, very shortly. I don't think Tom was expecting Tolly to do that. Oh, Tolly's let Tom through. There isn't a command. I haven't set up any Streamlabs stuff on this this account yet. But everything that you need about the team is on the Twitter, to be fair. I'll drop the Twitter link in chat. This week, before Friday, I should be sorting that out. But today, I've been working on other stuff for the team. So, yeah. How do they know who they're in the same pit as? They don't. They can figure it out during qualifying. You can figure it out because it's the same pit throughout qualifying on the race. But going into the race, you don't know, and that's one of the issues with multiplayer cars. Let's go back to Tawley though. He's going to be the first Decorus driver round. Sam is going to be the first driver round. Pairs opting for the mediums by the looks of things. Let's see how they're going to do. There isn't a bot, Colonel. There isn't a bot linked to the channel. Torley now coming through this long sweeping left hand turn into a sharp right hand turn. Well, if you listen to what I just said, Colonel, I said I'm going to start it during the week. Torley invalidates his first lap. Wait, oh, there's Tom. I couldn't tell. He's just behind Torley. So we'll continue watching Tom for a bit. Tom can be quite a cheeky driver around Russia. He normally does pretty well. Just coming through the sharp right hand turn now onto what would be the first DRS straight. Or what is the first DRS straight, I should say. He's also going to get a bit of a tow from Torley there, which might help him gain a little bit of time. Thank you, Maitland, for the follow. Because Tom now on his way round. Now swing to the left and another swing to the right. Pushing those track limits as much as he can. Sam went straight back into the pit, so it looks like Tom's going to be the first one to set a lap. Yellow flags at the end of the first DRS straight. I wonder what that's for. Tom sets a 30.8 as the first timed lap of the session. Thomas comes through with a 29.6. Let's head over to Charlie. He's just coming through the final turn now. Goes with a 30.3. Then we have a few, well, Noah J just crossed the line, but he must have invalidated the previous lap. Cream with a 31.6. Hearn coming through the final complex now. He invalidates on the third to last corner. Harris now pushing for his hot lap, coming through this first DRS zone. Probably an area of the track where we'll see a lot of at least attempted overtakes during the race, unless it becomes another DRS train, which is quite possible. I'd like to see actual battles happening, but it wouldn't shock me to see another DRS train for the next race. And there's Harris with a 29.5 taking provisional pole from Thomas. Let's go to West. Who's on his way around? Is he going? No, Universe is going to finish first, so we'll watch Universe and then we'll watch West. Although Universe seems to have a gearbox glitch, which is lovely stuff. You've got Pez on track at the minute on mediums. Universe getting a little bit of a tow. And you've also got Torley on an outlap right now, so we'll get to see what he's going to be able to do shortly. Sorry about the gearbox glitch that you can probably hear right now. Can be incredibly annoying. Just getting past a few cars that are heading back into the pits. And there's Universe coming around this final turn now. What time will it be? So 30.5 puts him P4 currently. Maybe a little bit off the pace, but it'll take a couple laps for him to warm up to the track, I think. Oh, it's went all the way there. Okay, cool. That's not where I wanted the thing to be. We'll go to West, who's invalidated his lap. So we will watch Pez, who's apparently in a much sunnier part of the track. I can show it in the second string. We'll wait for him to start his hot lap. Because Pez is currently... I'm interested to see where Pez is going to slot in on these mediums, actually. What kind of time he's going to be able to set. There's Harris moving out the way with incredible amount of time. I can try it more, but I don't know if it does. And there's Pez going up to P6 with a 31.3 on those mediums. Right then, let's watch Torley through this long sweeping left-hand turn. And this is a beautiful car from the onboard, I will say that, especially with the sun glaring down on it there. Keeps it nice and tidy on the exit. Now into this next turn. Don't want to run too wide there, because that will invalidate your lap as well. Tight right-hand turn there. Probably where we'll see a lot of invalidation later on, and there's Torley invalidating on the exit anyway. So he'll be heading back round to probably go for another lap, or possibly into the pits for a new set of tyres. This The CSR livery does look a lot better in the sun. I will say that with the glossy black. It's a simple but nice looking car. I think it's simple but very effective. And we'll keep with him for now. He's going to go through the turn that Tolly invalidated at, and he doesn't invalidate there. Loses a bit of time on the exit of the next turn though, because he had to slow down to make sure he didn't invalidate it there. Oof, very close to invalidation there. Had to swing to the right to stop him going over track limits. Good save though. Now down this DRS straight for him. Underneath this bridge, tight right hand turn, then another tight left. Don't want to run too wide on the exit of this one either. You want to take as much curve as possible here so you can get a nice entrance into this next turn. And exit of that one. Now into the penultimate turn. Through to the final turn. Let's see what time it's going to be. It's in the 30s. It's a 30.3. Third fastest. Decent lap there from Hearn. We'll go to Tom. He's back out on track now. Fresh set of softs on. Sam also back out on track as well as Thomas. So we'll get to see where these drivers will put themselves. Tolly did go back in the pits, so he'll be putting on a fresh set of softs and they're heading back out shortly. Tom finding a little bit extra time through sector 1. Not much, but it was a little bit extra. Tom keeping on pushing. Make sure he doesn't invalidate. Nice there on the exit. Didn't run too wide. Needs to keep it nice and tight on the entrance here and tight on the exit. Make sure you don't invalidate. Takes a little bit of curb. Not an issue if it means it can keep that speed up. Now through this DRS straight. You can see there is another Decorus car in front, so you may be getting a little bit of slipstream there. I imagine he's going to be a little bit too far ahead though to really have any sort of advantage. And Tom spins coming out of the tunnel. Just the traction on the exit of that turn can be quite tricky at times, and it's caused Tom to spin on that occasion. We'll go and see where Thomas is going to be able to put himself, if he can improve and put himself ahead of Harris again and take provisional pole. He does with a 29.484. Good lap there from Thomas, moving back up onto provisional pole. Tom will be heading back into the pits. Creamy has invalidated his lap. Sam's also heading back in the pits. Let's see what West can do back out on track. It's been a very, very competitive session so far. See what time West is going to be able to set. Noah out on the mediums as well, interestingly. A couple of those drivers trying to get inside the top 10 on an alternate strategy, which could work. I'll have to wait and see though. Craven needs to try and find a bit more time and make sure he can put himself ahead of Pez to stop that strategy working. Tolly's back out on track now as well, so we'll be able to see what Tolly's going to be able to do if as long as he doesn't invalidate this lap again. That is, we are crossing the 2/3 way through point, if you get what I mean in the quali time. 12 minutes down is probably an easy way to say it. And CSR West is going to be finishing this lap. Let's see what time it's going to be. It's a 30.2, puts him up to P4. Universe on his way back around now, found 3:10 so far apparently, which would put him around that P4 mark unless he can find even more time through this final sector. Keeps it nice and tight through that final turn. Good exit, puts him P4 with 30.0. We'll go to Tolly, who's also on his way around, just coming up to that final section of the track as well, this final complex of 3 90-degree right hand turns in a row. The only other track I know something like that, that off the top of my head at least, is Baku. And there goes Tolly with 30.199, puts him P5. And Noah J heading back into the pits by lots of things. I left that decision quite late, but He's still gone back into the pits. The field is a bit more spread out than last race, but it's nice. Sam's still struggling to set a lap. Obviously, must be struggling with track limits, looking at things right now. And everyone seems to be in the pits. Let's see if we can flick up to her now, who's on an out lap, who I just couldn't find through this apparently. There we go, that's working now. So we have, in fact, Tolly is on a hot lap now, I think. I'm not sure. He might run an in lap and those tyres might be wrong. I think those tyres are wrong, because he has just set a time. We'll go back to Hearn. He's just started his hot lap now. There's Creamy on his way out of the pits. And there you can see all the lovely flags flying high, which is a bit of a weird display of like internationalism from Russia. I've got to say that. But it's nice to see all the country's flags being represented here at Sochi. Her now coming through sector 2. Gonna have a few tricky turns now coming up, where a lot of drivers struggle with track limits, and they'll be coming up towards that DRS zone and the end of sector 2, and we'll get to see if he's found even more time on this lap so far. Does keep it clean through both those corners, where drivers do struggle sometimes. He's coming to that 72 light time lang there. He's found 3:10 so far, which would put him around that P4 mark. Possibly P5 depending on how the sector 3 goes. Let's see how it is after he takes his penultimate turn. It now comes up to the final turn, sharp in, and it's a 30.034. Takes P4 by 5 milliseconds. You gotta respect him for that. Gotta respect him for it. 5 milliseconds he takes that by. And actually, we'll go to Creamy. He's on a hot lap now, so we'll go and see what he's able to do. He's just coming through T2 there, and now through the long left-hand turn, taking it quite nicely into this sharp right, avoiding the CSR car that is sticking to the side of the track. And he's found an extra 10th through sector 1. If you can find a 10th in each sector, you may be able to move up a position to Pez. Sam back out on track. He's going to only have time probably to set one lap with how long's left of the session. So this could be a tricky, although to be fair, the session may be slightly longer for them, depending on how broken the game feels it needs to be today. But I'd imagine Sam will still only have one time for one lap, since he's still on an out lap now. And he's behind Creamy, so I don't think there'll be a 30-second extension to the session. Creamy does move up to P9. He found half a second actually. He needs to find another 2/10 if he wants to get close to Tom. A lot of drivers on the out laps now. Pez on those mediums, and so is Noah J. Sam finally starting that hot lap. He's going to be pushing it for time. I think this will be his only lap, so we'll watch him through. Universe has retired in the pits. Happy with P5. Naki Bangy for the follow. Sam keeping it nice and tight at the end of turn 4. Continuing through the rest of his lap. Thomas just starting his hot lap as well now. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve even more. And hold on to that provisional pole ahead of Harris, who isn't going to have time, I don't think, to start a lap. Although, again, he's just about made it, I think. Ahern in the pits as well, retiring. And Sam hasn't validated this lap, so Sam will not be able to set a time. And definitely will be starting outside the top 10. Pez in P10 on those mediums. Not able to improve ahead of Creamy. In fact, Thomas hasn't validated, so he's not going to be able to improve on this lap. Where Charlie is further round than Harris is. I wonder if Norwich is going to be able to find a way to improve. Creamy's back in the pits. We have a lot of drivers on laps right now. And that is Torley going fastest with a 29.3. Can Charlie respond as he takes the final turn now? 29.6 leaves him in P4. Thomas obviously doesn't improve, and Harris hasn't validated as well. So you've got West with a validation and Tom heading back into the pits. What about Noj? He is on a slow lap anyway. So that will be it for the session. Going into the race, we have Torley on the pole for the first time for Decorus. Thomas P2, Harris P3, Charlie sat in P4, Hearn P5, Universe in P6, West in P7, Tom P8, Cream P9, Pez P10, Nojo P11 and Sam at P12. So it wouldn't shock me going into this race to see 3 of the CSR drivers starting the race on medium tyres. And obviously everyone else inside the top 10 to start on the softs. It really would not shock me to see that. Let's see how things go. And we'll be getting in, well, as soon as West's engineers have put him back in the garage, there we are. We'll be heading across into the race. With, once again, we'll see it, Torley taking pole position at Russia. Which was a bit of a shock on that last lap as well, especially by 1.6 tenths. That is quite a gap, I will say. But impressive nonetheless. Thomas P2, Harris P3, so Decorus 1, 2, 3 going into the race. Then you have Charlie and Hearn behind them two in 4th and 5th. Then Universe in P6, West P7, Tom P8, Cream P9. Then you're going to have Pez starting on the mediums, definitely. Then Noah J in P11 and Sam P12. And we'll have to see what them two are going to do with their tyre strategies as we load into the race. I'm interested to see if they will do what I think they will and start on mediums, since they were trying to set laps on mediums anyway. Or if they'll switch it up and go for the softs and match the rest of the field with strategy and only leave Pez on those mediums. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, Tom, that is about your purpose there. Keep yourselves in the points. That's what we need from yous. And then hopefully it can be 2 out of 2 for today against CSR, and Decorus can extend our lead in Group 2 of GXE to an even further extent. Alright then, there's the first couple of drivers readying up. Strategies should be starting to be done. 15 seconds and we'll be underway for the formation lap, and we'll get to see what they've chose to do in 11th and 12th. What tyres they've decided to jump on. I'm genuinely really interested if they have went on those mediums or not. Obviously, they're the only two really that get a choice in what tyres they go on. Obviously, apart from they do go for the mediums. Not really shocked. So we have 3 drivers starting on the mediums. One of them qualifying on the mediums, and that would be Pez. And then you've got everyone else on the softs. So 9 soft runners, 3 medium runners. As they all run down, and that run down to turn 2 there, which looks really, really good actually on camera. So we'll have to see how this race is going to go for Decorus. Obviously starting 1, 2, 3 is a really, really good position to be in, and having all 6 drivers qualify inside the top 9 even is a good place to be starting this race. But Russia can be chaotic. Penalties could definitely be coming into play here with track limits. 13 laps. It wouldn't shock me to see a couple pens be picked up somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see how this goes. Especially with a few of these drivers invalidating laps a few times in qualifying, I think track limits could definitely come into play. Almost certainly be coming into play here. But let's see what Tolly's going to be able to do from pole, because obviously last time it was the other way around, I believe, wasn't it? Let me just double check. Well, Tolly was P4 last time. Harris started on pole and Tom was P2. So maybe Harris can get the start that Tolly had last time, and Harris can retake the lead of this race. Well, take the lead of this race, I should say. They're going to start to come around now and line back up on the grid. We'll head to the back of the field because there they are. The computers just took control of Sam's car, so we should see him on his way back round to his spot on the grid. And let's see how things are going to go here as Sam takes to his grid position here. There he is, just lining up his tyres with the yellow line at the side. They aren't revving their engines, so they aren't getting the lights at the same time as us. Look at those lovely blue cars at the front. They are really, really nice looking cars. There they are revving, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Russian GP Race 2, Round 2 of GXE. Let's just hope there isn't carnage on the run down to turn 2. There normally is some good battling going on. There's CSR. Charlie trying to get himself ahead of Harris. Harris runs wide out of the turn. So did West, I believe that was. Thomas falls. Charlie really trying to push hard. Harris is getting back past Charlie, or at least alongside him. Charlie pushing really hard through this first section of the track, leaving just enough room there for Harris to get himself back onto track. Holding P3 at the minute is Charlie. Thomas P4, West P5. So only movement really so far at the top is Charlie managing to get himself ahead of Thomas, and Harris taking Thomas's position in P2. Well, if we head further down the field here, we've got Tom right on the back of Hearn. Only 1/10 separates the two of them right now. With ARS here, he may go for a move into the bridge section of the track. He's going to go alongside, even down the straight. He's going to have the inside line. Needs to brake just in time. A little tap there. It seems to be having a little bit of the lag issues between the two of these. Thomas has just got himself back past Charlie, but Tom not quite able to do anything. They're actually Charlie and Thomas battling side by side. Thomas being squeezed a lot. In fact, he's not being given track position at all. Track at all. He's just being pushed into the grass coming onto that main straight, and that's dropped him quite a few positions. I'm sure Thomas won't be happy with that one. In fact, Tom's managing to get past going into turn 2 here. I'm sure Thomas will back off as he needs to. Universe, Tom and Thomas now need to push and try and get themselves ahead of those CSR drivers after, yeah, I would definitely say that was some sketchy driving through the final sections of the track, although those two up front have broken broken the gap they need to just have them two in their own little DRS train. So if them two can just sit there, start trading places with each other, sitting in the DRS range of each other, protecting ARS, that should be them two fine, because that gap to Charlie is continuing to grow. We'll have to see what the stewards think of those few dodgy movements through the final sections of the track on that one, though. I think this is the battle we're going to be watching for a little while. There's Universe and Thomas here behind these three CSR drivers. What kind of movements will they be able to pull off? If any. Because I'd imagine it will be another DRS train. Mumbling me words up now. Been talking for an hour and a half, it's going to start happening. Although Thomas might actually think, no, he's going to be smart here and back off, I feel. Sit behind Universe for now. Even though Universe isn't really gaining on Hearn, he's gaining on West. Because Hearn has managed to close that gap down to West, and that gap between Universe and Hearn hasn't moved. In fact, now it has. Universe has managed to close it in by about 2/10 there. If you can keep reeling it in, DRS is in play now. And West may be just out of range for it. Charlie will not be getting it, for a fact. West probably won't be. So Universe only has Hearn in between him. And there's Charlie in P3 picking up that 3-second penalty. As I said, penalties are going to come into play a lot around the circuit. But 3 warnings and 3 laps is not a good sign for him. And he's now 2 seconds behind the 2 race leaders. DRS is in play now. Hearn has managed to close in on West, but he didn't go for an overtake on this occasion. Those 3 medium runners at the back are also out of DRS range of Creamy, so if Creamy can hold that gap, that would be good news, because he should be able to extend that gap with sitting in DRS range of Tom, and be able to pull away a little bit from those medium runners, and they'll have to see what they're able to do on that strategy. West did manage to break back into DRS range of Charlie, but Charlie has fallen further and further back from Torley and Harris at the front of the field. Pez and Noah have realised their error on those mediums and have switched to the soft strategy, but they've done it very early on. Only done 3 laps on those mediums, which could be an issue for them. Sam staying out. Harris picks up a 3-second penalty, but that will only move him to P2 right now. It would just see him and Torley switch positions. Universe getting closer and closer to Hearn. He's only sitting 2/10 behind at this time. Maybe if he could get the slipstream and the exit, which he didn't get, he could have thought about a move there. Maybe into turn 2 at the end of the next DRS zone. We'll have to see what Harvey thinks is the correct call for that, Matty. We'll have to see. I'm not sure on what the tyre life is like on softs, to be honest. Thomas is managing to close in on Universe now. And that pen that Harris did pick up earlier on, it should be fine, because that gap to Charlie seems to just keep growing and growing. In fact, it might be over 3 seconds very shortly. Creamy, Tom and Sam have all pitted. So Tom and Creamy going onto the mediums, Sam coming off the mediums onto the softs. Maybe a good call there to have them two stay out in front of those 3 and have done the pits. If they can stay out ahead of those front 3, actually, because Pez and Noah J seem to be quite racy on those softs. And it's going to be quite right on the back of Hearn there. So Noah J just behind Tom. Pez managed to get ahead of them both. Creamy sits in P11, Sam in P12 at the moment. Sam quite a bit back from Creamy. That medium run really hasn't helped him. The issue for Pez, Noah J and Sam here is because they started on the softs. They started on the medium, sorry. Even though they've got extra pace on Tom and Creamy now, come the end of the race, that pace won't be there. We may see a couple more pit stops this lap, are we? Yep, Thomas is heading into the pits. So there's at least one. So Thomas will be putting on some mediums. And he should be able to get himself ahead of Pez. That gap for Harris is now way over 3 seconds to Charlie, so P2 is fine as long as he doesn't pick up another penalty. Charlie has those 3 seconds anyway, so he should be okay. Pez picks up fastest lap there on fresh softs, which is not a surprise. I feel like this on next lap is going to be the lap where we see a big amount of pit stops. Oh, that was definitely corner cut there for Sam. West has picked up 3 seconds as well, so that's third and fourth, both with 3-second penalties. Which we currently see Sam jump them both. And with this DRS train, Sam really can't do much. He kind of just sat behind Hearn. Right behind Hearn. 2/10 is extremely close. But he's just not close enough to be able to get a move done because Hearn has DRS as well. That gap between Torley and Charlie is growing over 4 seconds now. And we're going to see Hearn pit this lap. Sam's going in as well. And so does Charlie. So we're getting a few pit stops here. So we've got Harris, Torley and West up front. Yet to pit. That gap between Torley and West seems to be growing. Oh, no, West closing in now a little bit. Did West? No, he's just using up a lot of bloody hell. West has used up a lot of ARS that Torley and Harris haven't. So even though he's managed closing a little bit there, that will be... let's see if it does fix it. Oh, it does. Nice one, Momo. So, Thomas is just behind Charlie then, which is where we'd expect him to be. So Thomas did do well with a bit of an undercut there going on those mediums. Does have Pez behind him on the softs though. And then you've got a bit of a gap then between Pez and Hearn. And then another bit of a gap between Hearn and Noah J. And about 1.5 to 2 seconds between each of the drivers behind that. So we should be seeing the race leaders probably pit this lap, I'd imagine. It wouldn't shock me to see them go in now. Or at least one of them go in now. I think Torley is... Looks like Harris is going to be staying out for one more lap yet. Torley does pit, so does West. So Harris will be staying out for one more lap. A little bit of a lock up there from Thomas. Pez overshooting the turn a little bit as well. So he has lost time he could have made up to Thomas there. But they both made a mistake anyway. Sam now does get past Creamy, but Sam is on the quickest compound. And will probably begin losing time come the end of the race. Just purely because of the age of those softs compared to the age of the mediums. There will be a crossover point where those mediums become the more effective tyre. We have 5 laps to go. So there's Thomas getting through past Charlie, and so does Pez. So Charlie falls to P5. And Torley holds on to that P2 for now. And has quite a decent gap as well. Pez picks up 3 seconds. So you have Harris on 3 seconds, Pez, Charlie and West all on 3 seconds as well. So Harris will probably be pitting this lap. I'm just going to sit with him for a minute and see what he does decide to do. Actually, no, we won't. We'll flick to Sam, who is right on the back of Universe. Universe on the harder compound of the two of them. And see what Harris decides to do. Harris does go in the pits. And Harris should come out either ahead of Tolly or between Tolly and Thomas. It is Sam fighting Sam. That is true. Sam not able to get a move done on Sam with DRS assisting him. Sam just sitting in the DRS range of Tom. And we just have to see how much these softs will get affected. Is Harris is already on his way back out of the pits. Obviously that gap will shrink rapidly between Harris and Tolly. He's back out on track though, and he's got about 5 seconds to Tolly. 4 seconds. So him staying out on track seems to have worked really well. He's still got about 4-second gap between him and Tolly, and he's maintained the race lead. And Universe does go for the overtake on Tom there and gets it done through turn 2. Will other Sam go for it on Tom as well? He does. He's going to go on the inside. Tom running quite wide through turn 4. And Sam taps Sam and goes spinning. That is not what we want to be seeing at the moment. We're just going to have to wait and see if those softs begin to drop off, and if Tom and Creamy are going to be able to get past Sam again. Possibly Noah J as well. We've got Pez on 4-lap old softs now. He's going to have to do another 4 laps on them. We saw the softs last around 6 to 7 laps. Possibly 8 laps in Harris's case. But 6 laps seem to be about where it was. Will these soft runners be able to go to the end of the race and be on a decent compound? There's Thomas managing to keep himself ahead of Pez. And Pez loses control of the car going back across the start-finish line. Which lets Charlie get ahead. And Hearn will probably get past as well. And there he does. I think he has picked up a little bit of wing damage on that left-hand side. So that's probably going to start losing him a bit of time. He's had to let 4 of his teammates through actually. One of them got through with the incident. Harris should be able to hold P1 here, even though he has that penalty. Universe has went into the pits for a fresh set of softs. Let's see what penalties these are on. So currently Sam would get ahead of Pez, but wouldn't get ahead of West. And there's Noah J picking up 3 seconds as well. If those tires, if that gap starts to shrink between a few of these cars, Universe picks up 3 seconds. This is going to be probably quite close, but I think penalties could come more into play. I mean, what would P1, 2, 3 be points-wise? It would be 58 points, wouldn't it? If my math's right. Which I think that's more than half the points that are handed out in a race, so... I think it is going to be a win for us anyway, as long as we can hold on to 1, 2, 3, and obviously Tom will pick up the extra point in P10. We'll have to wait and see. But with these penalties that Charlie and Noah J have, Tolly and Thomas should be okay where they are. Even if they pick up a pen, they've got a gap, and the 2 drivers behind them have pens as well. And obviously Noah J is another 3 seconds behind Charlie. No one's on 6 seconds yet, I know. Everyone who's got pens is on 3 seconds. So there'll be a little bit of movement among some people. Like Hearn should be able to get a position. Sam probably will as well. And if Tom can get that gap down, he could. Which that gap is shrinking now. It looks like it is that crossover point where the mediums become quicker than the softs. Or at least it might be for Tom. Charlie almost out of DRS range of Thomas. And there is Tom now breaking to be within that 3-second boundary. So Tom can get a P9 from this. As long as he doesn't pick up a penalty on these final 2 laps. No, it's a good view, good camera. Yeah, Pez is the one that had that incident. And Sam picks up a penalty as well. So if Tom can start, well, no, I don't think Tom's going to be able to get close enough to Sam to be able to get an overtake done in 2 laps, even with that penalty. Charlie is now out of DRS range of Thomas, so it looks like those front 3 are going to be able to stay there, and this should be another win for Decorus. I mean, 4 out of 4 races, really. The competitive races, I should say. That's if Creamy can close in enough. Marcus, which is going to be... That's the question, really. In 2 laps, will Creamy be able to close in enough on Pez? Which, that gap is... it's closing in now. Maybe it could. Although he's almost out of the RS, so it's going to be really difficult for him to push. It will be purely on how much time Pez will lose because of his wing damage. Which, to be fair, Tom's getting pretty close to an overtake. He's going to be in DRS range shortly. I don't think he's going to quite be within DRS range for this DRS zone. In fact, he's just out of it. But into the next one, he probably will be there. He's there now. Nope, that hasn't fixed it that time. And Tolly picks up 3 seconds. He'd be fine because Charlie has his 3-second pen. So that's not much to worry about. Pez needs to lose a bit more time really for Tom to be able to get this overtake done. And Tom maybe will get it done on DRS on this straight because he's clearly got the extra speed. He's within 5/10 now, so maybe with DRS happening, he's using the extra ERS he's got. This is the final lap, so it's understandable. If he can get this move done, he might as well take the position on track. He's not going to be able to get it done on that DRS straight. I'm just going to quickly flick to the front as Harris crosses the line to take the win. Despite the penalty, he will definitely be holding on to that P1. Tolly crosses the line in style. Thomas takes P2. Because of Tolly's penalty, Tolly takes P3. Charlie crosses in P4, but Hearn will take P4, Charlie P5, Nojo P6, West P7, Sam P8. Pez will cross in P9, but he's almost certainly going to lose that position to Tom there. Tom will take P9. Pez takes P10. Creamy just missing out on a P10 there. Universe going to come and cross the line with a P12, so that should be 2 of 2 for Decorus now. With 1, 2, 3 and 9, I believe that will be 54 points. As well as I'm not sure which team got fastest lap, to be honest. But that is a brilliant result for Decorus today. And I think that will be a win for us against CSR. In GXE, which will only extend our lead in our group, which should see us get out of the group stage now. Well, hopefully get out of the group stage. We've had 2 races. If we win the next race as well, then almost definitely we will be in a position to say we are getting out of our group. And into... I'm not sure how it's going to work actually, because now there's only 3 groups. There was 4, now there's only 3, so we'll have to see how that's going to work in terms of who goes through onto the next round and how that's going to work. But it was Sam who took fastest lap, so that will be an extra couple points. I think 2 points for fastest lap for CSR, but a good finish nonetheless for Decorus. GG to both teams. And yeah, you are a little bit late, Trixie, because I'm just about to wrap up. This is being a really good night for Decorus. 2 races out of 2 races, I believe. That second race was a lot closer. Definitely will admit that second race was a lot closer. GG to CSR. Some fairly good racing. Couple of bumps at the start of this race, which I'm sure we'll have to get investigated, but nonetheless, 2 pretty good races, especially for us, I've got to say. I'm proud of the boys getting the result today, and obviously Tom, on his first competitive outing with the DFA, has picked up points for Decorus, which we've got to be proud of him for. So there it is. That's the final standings overall for these 2 races. We'll no, competitive, Dan. Fart wasn't competitive, it was a friendly. That's what I'm saying. His first competitive outing for the team. If you get what I mean. But yeah. Well, no, it was a friendly. It wasn't in a competition, so it was a friendly. Let's have a look then. Is anyone live right now that we can go and drop a raid to? In fact, Timmy Ngops is live, so let's go and give him a raid. We will be back on Friday for our next race in TRC, which is, as I said earlier on, against ETSR. We're going to have to see how we fare against them. And yeah, cheers for joining us tonight, and we will see you all in a bit, and goodbye.
Get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now